Hi, today I'm here to record our episode number 4 of the Athlete You Are series. I'm here today with Gary Walker, triathlete racing for the Great Britain Age-Group Triathlon Team. Hi, Gary.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Perfect. So, Gary, just to kickstart, I guess the quick story and the interview. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself in a few words?
3 words: motivated, focused, and committed.
Fantastic. And maybe a little bit about yourself. So, have you always been sporty, and what kind of sports have you done in the past?
Yeah, so I'm pretty much an everyday athlete, really. Work around trainings around a full-time job, race triathlon. Individually in the past, I did a little bit of swimming, a bit of cycling, and a bit of running as a schoolboy, and then stopped it all for a little while, and then back in around about 2011 started playing the games again. So yeah, I've always been sporty throughout my life though.
That's fantastic. So I know that you are currently enjoying the multi-sport life, but can you tell me a little bit about before and how you reignited that passion?
Yeah, so so when I was a kid, like I say, I swam as a school kid, and then started doing athletics. This was all alongside my brother, but then when we got to an age where there was a bit of sibling rivalry there, then I decided to go on the cycling route, and he didn't take the cycling route, so I did a bit of all 3 sports, as I mentioned before. Throughout university, did a sports science degree at university, so I was still sporty for most of my grown-up life. And then just stopped it all as you get to the age of 21. You find other activities to get involved with, which I did. But then 2010, 2011, started training again, started doing exercise again. What ignited it? I was carrying a lot of weight, I was smoking, and I needed to get myself fit, basically.
And that was a decision maker.
Absolutely.
That's fantastic. And how did you get to where you are today?
Hard work, training, commitment.
Yes.
Yeah, spending a lot of time, basically just focused on what I'm doing. Because the level I am at now is very, very different when I first started.
Yeah.
I'm probably sitting, it's winter season for me now, so I'm sitting around about 74, 75 kilogram. But during the racing season, I'll be at around about 68, 69 kilogram.
Wow.
But I was, 16 and a half stones in English money. So what would that be back, maybe over 100 kilogram I was. So yeah, I was carrying a fair bit of weight. And yeah, the smoking, well, obviously it's bad news anyway, but yeah, I was smoking 20 cigarettes regularly, but on a weekend up to 40 cigarettes a day.
So very much night and day, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Every day, that time to your everyday now is quite different.
Very much so.
Just to level set the audience, can you maybe walk us through what a multisport looks like?
So triathlon, it's swim, 3 elements: swim, bike, run. There is a 4th element, which is your transition as well, which a lot of people forget about, but you can make up quite a bit of time in that particular area. But yeah, start off with swim. There's different distances you can race. You can race sprint triathlon, Olympic distance or standard distance triathlon. Then you've got middle distance, and then you've got full Ironman distance as well. I race your sprint and Olympic distance races, which are your shorter distances. They tend to take about an hour to 2 hours worth of racing, or 2 and a bit hours worth of racing for myself. So we start off with your swim, and for me that's a 750 meters or 1500 meter swim, and then your bike, 20 kilometer or 40 kilometer bike, and then into your run, which is either a 5k or a 10k run.
Wow, that's brilliant.
Straight after
can
each
you
other.
tell me what?
Straight after each other.
Right. Can you tell me a time when motivation and courage was key, perhaps during your training and maybe during one of your tries?
Always. You have to stay motivated. I would say it depends on what level you're racing at. I mean, even I say this to the guys in our club as well. You have to remain motivated all the time. Give yourself a focus to start off with. And it's interesting that, it was just a recent question that came up on one of our club forums recently. They said, I'd like to know what certain athletes are doing for their training and how we're keeping motivated across the winter, and what other level of training other people are doing. And at the end of the day, you just need to pick your target, stick to your target, and give yourself an objective of what you want to achieve, but make that realistic. If you give yourself an unrealistic objective, then you ain't going to hit it. Make it realistic, know what your standard is, and then stay motivated to hit that. That will give you the motivation to continue your training throughout, because it takes a lot of training. Takes a lot of effort, takes a lot of time. But not just that. I mean, I'm an everyday athlete, so I've still got a full-time job which I work around, and doing the full-time job as well, and then coming in, then you've got your family, and then you go and do your training. You need to stay focused all the time.
So if I heard you correctly on that, nice tip is to just set realistic goals, right?
Absolutely.
For you to attain them, and then celebrate those realistic goals too, just to keep going.
Absolutely.
And encourage and build on that.
You can keep changing those goals. Keep changing the goals, keep changing the benchmark all the time. Once you've achieved it, then set yourself a new goal. Keep changing it and keep moving forward. Otherwise, you'll stay stagnant and you won't get any direction. That's
true. That's a great tip. Thank you. So can you talk to me a little bit more about your diverse training? So we talked about multisports and what's that part of, but do you do, I guess, out of the box training in order for you to keep those goals or keep on to those goals?
I should do. I try to.
Okay. Sorry to ask.
Swim, bike, run is the main disciplines that we'll be racing around. So you've got if you're not in the water often enough, you lose the feel for the water. You have to stay in the water as much as possible. And swimming being my weakest discipline, I need to do that as much as I possibly can. So that tends to be at least 2, but maybe even 3 or 4 times per week I'll be in the water.
Wow.
Then the longest part of the race for me, obviously, is your bike. So, I can make biggest gains on my bike because I'm a stronger cyclist. Yeah. So being strong on the bike, a lot of training, a lot of focus training to power is the best way of doing that. And then obviously your run training, just keep it fast, keep it short for me, because of the short distance that I do race. I also try and put in, or have more recently put in, a little bit of yoga as well. So I don't have time. Yeah, I find it quite difficult because of the 3 different elements, and because of the full-time job with the kids as well. Yeah. You then have very little time left remaining. So I maybe try and put in 15 minutes of yoga every morning, 10 minutes, 15 minutes just here and there. I can't dedicate a full day's session towards yoga where I'm in the gym for an hour. I wouldn't physically have the time to do that. So I just do a bit of strength and conditioning in that way, just mainly body work stuff. I tend not to use weights. I'm not in the gym. I don't utilize a gym.
Okay. So no strength training, or does that form part of your yoga?
Yeah, well, yeah, just part of my yoga, because I don't physically have the time to do it. I'll just do stretching, body weight stretching as and when I can, just at home. But that tends to be it. I mean, if I had more time, I probably would put it in. But I don't really have the time to be able to do that.
No, that's good to hear. So I'm back into the triathlon training, and kind of like you, I've got a family, full-time job, definitely just amateur, so kind of starting back into it all, but just trying to juggle and trying to find that time is really, really hard, right?
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
It's good to know that you can still do it without having to kind of discipline your time in all those other activities in order to be a solid athlete. So that's good. So what does out of curiosity, what does an average schedule look like for you then? So during training and during your pro?
So at the moment it's winter season. So what I've been doing, I had at the end of the season that's just passed, I had 3 weeks off of doing nothing at all. Which for someone who's regimented, someone who's focused and committed to training every single day, that it just feels so wrong not to do anything. I introduced over the last 2 weeks a bit of freestyle, so I just did my own training when I wanted to do it, no particular plan.
But that could be fun.
But now, just have a bit of fun and enjoy it, But now we're getting to the stage where we need to start getting that focus training back in again, keeping it consistent, because that's the main thing. Keep your training consistent. Do the same thing over and over again, week in, week out. And if you continue to do the same thing, then you can readdress it at different time points. So what we'll do now is to put a plan in starting from November, and that'll probably lead us up until Christmas. Around Christmas, we'll readdress that. So in around about 8 weeks, we'll readdress it again, and then we'll put the next training block together again, and then we'll move forward in that way. So you keep readdressing it all the time. You do and set yourself different targets. So I'll be working the power on the bike in the garage when I'm on the turbo trainer. I'll be working the power. We'll do another power test, and then when we've got new power figures, we'll be changing the sessions over. But for one block, you'll be doing the same session, same Wednesday, same Tuesday. It'll be the same up until Christmas.
So is that for muscle memory as well, or is it just for to trend and compare?
It helps. It really helps with, like, say, muscle memory. It's it's good for periodization as well, because as well you can then start to feel your body becoming easier. Once it's becoming easier, you're actually improving. And then you'll set it, and you'll set the bar a little bit higher, or you'll change the session slightly as well. You might still do a strength session on the bike, or you might still do a hill session, but it will look slightly different to what the previous session was that you did in the previous block. So the intervals may be shorter, there may be harder, shorter intervals, or there may be longer, easier intervals, So
wow, okay, so you're like ramping up right now into training.
At the moment, not just yet.
Not just yet.
Start in the new year.
Soon. Okay. So I just have a couple more questions. So any tips to share? I know we've heard a lot of great tips so far, but any other tips around how to help an everyday athlete to keep that momentum going?
Just enjoy it.
Enjoy it, right?
Absolutely. You've got to enjoy it, but like I said earlier on, if you've got that focus, maybe give yourself a target. I'll race during the season, I'll race every few weekends. But if you haven't got the time to race every few weekends, or if you haven't got the finance to be able to race every weekend, then just give yourself a few targets, a few challenges that you're going to race across the year, and then aim for each one. If you aim for that one, then your focus, your motivation will stay for that particular training, for that particular event. Perfect.
And any tips or any encouragement to get someone to try something new? Or to try?
Just give it a shot.
Try?
Give it a try.
Just give it a try.
Give it a try and spell it TRI.
I like it. That's awesome.
I absolutely. Just challenge yourself. Give yourself a challenge of doing something completely different. If you've never tried it before, give it a chance. Have a go. You might enjoy it, but be careful. Once you enjoy it, you'll fall in love with it. So, most people who try it, they'll continue to do it, and you'll get a bug.
Fantastic. Well, thank you, Gary. It was an honor to have you on the call today, and thanks for your time, because I know you have a really busy time. And I've heard that you might be in Canada as well in the next in the near future.
Well, I'd qualified for the World Championships which were going to be in Edmonton in July. Was it July or was it August? Mid-August next year.
Yeah.
I was going to be in Edmonton for the grand final, but we've canned it. We're not going to. We're going to do. I'm going. Yeah. Well, just for the time, it sits 2 weeks before is the European Sprint Distance Championships in Sweden in Malmo, and then 2 weeks after is a very good friend's wedding. So and the wedding's in Italy. So we've got to go to a friend's wedding, and we're going the 2 weeks before, so we physically can't get Canada in the middle of it, which is a shame. But I would love to have. Absolutely.
Okay, well, next target, you definitely got to come, and you got to make it through. Okay. Definitely. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Gary. It was fantastic to see you. Great introductions and great story.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye now.